At this time, we'll open up the Garden Grove City Council meeting. We had 3 closed session items. Nothing was decided on any of them. We have nothing to bring back at this time. We're going to have Mr. Chris Phan give us the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. Who's doing that? Mr. O'Keefe, okay?
Can we do roll call?
Would you like me to do roll call, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yeah, that might be a...
Councilmember Beard?
Here.
Councilmember Jones?
Here.
Councilmember Fawn?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen? Mayor Broadwater?
Here.
Please rise, put your hand over your heart, and recite the pledge with me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invocation.
Please prepare yourself according to your faith. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting this evening. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of our community Garden Grove. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect our residents. Continue to remind us that what we do here, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
I notice we have several community spotlights. I would like to point out we have some Boy Scouts with us tonight. We've got them on both sides here. How you guys doing? Okay, what's the community spotlight?
First one is recognizing Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year recipient. Mr. Okiriki will make this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Tonight, the City of Garden Grove City Council is pleased to recognize 3 Garden Grove Best and Brightest who have earned the Distinguished Youth of the Year Award from Boys and Girls Clubs of Garden Grove. Since 1947, the Boys and Girls Club of America have recognized members for their outstanding service to the club, the community, and their academic success. This year's Boys and Girls Clubs of Garden Grove's Youth of the Year recipients are Brasida Perez, Kendra Mamey, and Daniel Valdez. Will the 3 recipients please come forward to the mic? We begin this evening with Brasida Perez. Brasida is a 6th grade student at the Clinton branch and has been a member for 6 years. She values everything about the club and spends almost every day there. The club helps her to become a responsible individual and teaches her respect. She is a helpful member, always lending a hand during activities. Not only does she get her own homework done at the club, but also helps the younger kids with their homework. Brasida aspires to be an elementary school teacher when she grows up. The City Council congratulates Brasida for demonstrating such maturity and foresight as a young role model. Next, we have Kendra. Kendra is an 8th grade at Ralston Intermediate and is a dedicated 2-year member of the club. She participates in almost everything and has found the club to be a positive experience, teaching her leadership and athletic skills. She is vice president of the Touch Club and participates in all the sports activities. The club has introduced her to 2 of her favorite sports, volleyball and basketball. Kendra has developed an outgoing personality and has learned to step aside of her comfort zone and try new things. She is very perceptive when it comes to helping those in need. Her career goal is to be a firefighter. The city applauds Kendra and wishes her the best of luck in her future endeavors. Last but not the least, we have Daniel Valdez. Daniel is a senior at San Diego High School and has been a member for 4 years. Not only has Daniel stayed on top of his grades, college applications, and social life, but he also has gone above and beyond. He is the co-president of his favorite club side activity, the Keystone Club. There he focuses on academic success, career preparation, and community service. Every month, they work on hands-on activities and service projects that really make a difference in the community. Daniel is also the vice president of his school's ASB club, a member of the steering committee for National Keystone, and has logged in over 100 volunteer hours. He plans to study engineering physics and obtain a degree in the field of nanoscale science. Along the way, he hopes to become an advisor for teen leadership program. Daniel's outstanding contribution to the club, the community, and his studies have made him the top candidate to represent the Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove in the next level of competition for the State Youth of the Year Award. The city congratulates Daniel on being an exceptional influence on his club and community. At this time, the Mayor and City Council would like to present each of these distinguished individuals with a congratulatory certificate in recognition of their influential role to their clubs. The City Council proudly recognizes them as a catalyst for positive role models and future leaders in the Garden Grove community.
Please come forward.
Yeah, we gave it to him.
Daniel. Congratulations to all of you. I want you to come down so you can get a picture taken. Thank you.
One, two, and three. One more. One, two, and three.
If you care to say something, we'd be more than happy to hear what you have to say.
Well, I just want to say thanks for everyone for being here, first and foremost, and also the Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove. They're the real reason I've been here and gotten so far these 4 years, and I really want to thank Alex Gallegos, my past Keystone advisor, and Raul Campos, my current advisor, and also my parents and every single person in the Boys and Girls Club staff. So yeah, thanks.
Well, first, I would like to thank the mayor and the city of Garden Grove for this wonderful opportunity. I would also like to thank the Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove for nominating me to represent our great city in one of the highest honors possible. But most of all, I would like to thank God for making all this possible. I would also like to thank my family for pushing me towards my greatest goals, especially my mom. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
And what is the next one?
Mr. Mayor, you will be making the next presentation to the Epsilon Sigma Alpha chapter.
Will the president and representatives of Epsilon Sigma Alpha please come forward to the podium? This year, the California State Council of Epsilon Sigma Alpha is celebrating 65 years of service in our community. Over that time, they have provided hundreds of thousands of hours to their communities and more than $150 million to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. In Garden Grove, their chapter number 5271 of the Alpha XI have been in existence for 23 years. They have assisted ESA in volunteering hundreds of hours to the city of Garden Grove and thousands of dollars to local causes and charities. It is my pleasure to present Epsilon Sigma Alpha with a proclamation honoring their 65 years of service. Won't you come forward, please? Turn around, we'll get your picture too.
Oh, go ahead. That's good.
2, and 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we have one more. We're going to save this one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Comments?
May I recognize the councilman and mayor and say we greatly, greatly appreciate this recognition you've given us. It's not only do we participate as volunteers, our work is none greater than yours. So I know you have a lot of responsibility, and as members and the community here, I want to say we appreciate all your efforts too. So thank you
Thank
very
you very
much
much.
for this honor.
Okay, we're going to go to oral communications now. And what I want to do is I want to take the cards from everything that is not medical marijuana and get them done with, and then we will go to the medical marijuana. I would like to point out that the medical marijuana is nothing on the city council agenda tonight. And I'm not sure why this huge crowd is out, but...
You sent letters out, that's why this huge crowd's out. Yeah.
Okay, and please let me do my, let me get through with my sentence.
Sorry, I thought you were asking a question. I'll shut up.
Anyway, we did send letters out, but we have not changed anything. The only thing we've changed is sending out letters. And so there's nothing.
Motivated.
Okay. Anyway, at this time, we're going to do the non-medical marijuana cards, and then we're going to do a little bit of the city business, and then we'll come back to them. Okay, David Ville.
You may have to wait. He might be in the other room.
Okay, that's okay.
I don't know what Charles is going to speak on, or generally has spoken on medical marijuana.
Yeah, we'll do him.
Wow. Thank you. I didn't think I'd be the first one on the agenda here.
You're number
Golly. It's been a long time since I've seen three of you, but I see we have two new board members there. Congratulations to all of you for being elected and reelected. So, but my gosh, I really don't know what to say here because this was not expected. I was expected to be last on the list here. I am the president of the Garden Grove chapter of AARP, and we have met in Room B over there for the last 40 years. July 15th is going to be our last meeting here. And the reason it's going to be our last meeting here is because after 40 years, guess what? A lot of us old people have gotten too old, and we have the Indians. We have 164 Indians, but no chiefs. And we have a 16-member board, and our board members have been dropping off like flies, and no one to replace them. And one of the favorite ones, our vice president, Larry Callahan, Bruce's Broadwater's treasurer. Well, he's, as you know, he's gone. A very nice man. But at any rate, like I said before, after 40 years, the chapter opened up on July 15th. This chapter opened up November 15th, 1973. And it is presently and has been the largest chapter of Orange County with 164 members. The chapter has been all volunteers and organizations committed to helping. Our group has been here mostly with the help all of our seniors and to be a help whatever any way that we could to help the city of Garden Grove here. And like I say, we've been here a long time. I belong to the chapter 15 years. The last 10 years, I've been the president, and so far, I wanted to retire, but no one wants to come in and take the job. However, like I said before, due to the progressive shortage of volunteers for the key positions, the chapter will close, and that I came here to put that in the form of an announcement. I did come in here and I see this marijuana issue, and I will have to say that when this issue came up and it was voted on, the first, I always voted against it. The last couple times it was on the agenda, I voted to legalize it because I listened. I'm sorry I had to bring that up right now, but and the only reason I'm doing it is because I'm saying that people have to be open-minded, and as you all know, that I've been here several times, I haven't always agreed with the council, and I've been kind of a nemesis in a lot of ways. But you know something? In the end, we were gentlemen about it. We were civil, and we agreed to disagree. And I think that that's good. And I think that you do have a good city council. At least I know three of them very well, and I think that they're good people, and I think that they're going to do what is right. But again, I think that this issue should be about people that are suffering. And the thing is this, some of us don't know pain. And all of you are very young over there. I look at you and you guys are young. Even Broadwater's, believe it or not, I'm old enough to be his dad. I'm 82 years old.
How old are you?
82.
You'd be my dad.
And
you were my dad, you would have been 8 years
100?
old when you'd been playing around.
Well, that's possible, you know. But not nowadays. But I have to tell you that again, I think that people have to be open-minded about this, and you have to be willing to look at the other side. And I think that when you see that some of these states that have always voted it down and now they're voting for it, I mean, there's got to be something. And I've talked to people that have been in real pain, and like I say, unless you have suffered real pain, you're not going to. So thank you. I think that I've talked long enough, and I appreciate the fact that you. And I didn't want to bring up the marijuana issue, but because I thought I'd be last. But thank you again for calling me.
Okay. Deborah Asby.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. I'm Deborah Ashby from the South Coast Air Quality Management District, and I'm just here to make a few brief announcements for you. First of all, I just wanted to let you know that nominations are now open for our 25th Annual Clean Air Awards. Every year, our agency honors individuals, businesses, organizations, and sometimes cities for their extra efforts in helping us clean the air. So I'd encourage you to think of anybody that you would like to see honored, and I'd be more than happy to help you with the nomination form and process if you'd like. The deadline is in July, and we honor the winners in October. And then secondly, you may already know, but it's a very popular program, but registration is now open for our annual lawnmower exchange program. I brought flyers for each of these things for you. The closest event to you is in Anaheim on July 13th, and about half of the mowers are already spoken for. So I would encourage you and your residents to sign up and pre-register. What happens is they turn in their working gas mower, and they have a choice of 5 different cordless electric mowers that are much cleaner for the environment, and the cost is reduced by about 75%. So it's a great value for the residents, and it's a good thing for our air. So I'd just like to thank you for your time, and I'll leave the information with the clerk.
Thank you very much. Peter Katz.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, and residents out here. I come before you tonight again. I'm a member of the Vietnam War Museum Board, but I have a couple issues here I want to talk to you. First of all, Chris, you look very nice on the internet there for Buddha's birthday, and don't give up your day job. There's a somber note out here today. This is up from 17 last year, but the Pentagon released today figures showing that 22 American veterans commit suicide every single day in this country. It was 17 last year, it's 22 this year, and most of them are not even combat vets. So it's a somber event. But we can never forget the past and the wars that we fought. I went to every Black April event that was out there for the fall of Saigon and the end of the Vietnam War. And I attended the memorial service for the boat people, the refugees that lost their lives at sea to pirates, to weather. More than 2 million, some say, that were lost at sea. So it was a very moving ceremony. And I just see this crowd out here tonight, and we are a civil people. And when I went into that cemetery, they gave me directions to go left, and for some reason I went right, and I wound up in one of the largest Arab American cemeteries west of the Mississippi. And I was astounded. I did not know there were that many Arab Americans living in Orange County and being buried in this cemetery. So I saw a statement on the internet by a Vietnam veteran who heads a large group in the county talking about all the terrorist attacks conducted by Muslim men. But let's face it, we have a lot of Muslim men fighting, protecting our freedom over in Afghanistan today and in places like Fallujah in Iraq. So once again, with Memorial Day coming up, I would like to remind some of you people that a lot of people suffer to get here. A lot of us suffer to defend the freedom so that you can have the right to debate what you see out here tonight. The United Nations created a High Commissioner for Refugees in 1981 and won the Nobel Peace Prize. But refugees were stuck in concentration camps in Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Hong Kong, Indonesia. They were raped, tortured, robbed before they came to the United States. And these people cannot forget some of the travesty that they went through to become free here in the United States. And we as veterans have to defend all of them, and each and every one of them, irregardless of our politics. So I would like to remind you, there are a couple events. The Traveling Wall, which introduced the Vietnam War Museum 2 years ago, will be coming to La Habra, July 11th through 17th. It's the American Legion Post is putting that on. Then it will be traveling to Irvine. I got involved in promoting this museum with another committee, and now I have joined this committee. But what we're proposing is to cordon off a part of the Great Park in Irvine to create a new veteran cemetery. Believe it or not, in the state of California, there is no California State Veteran Cemetery south of San Francisco. There are 2 in Northern California, but none in Southern California. And this part of the Great Park is nothing can be built on it. It can only be put a golf course, a cemetery, or open space. So we're hoping to convince the state legislature to put it. We cannot put a national cemetery there because it's less than 100 miles from Riverside. So, but there is been talk, and there is a history of possibly putting a cemetery there, and it was a military installation at one time. In June, Loretta Sanchez Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez serves on the Armed Services and Homeland Security Committee. We're presenting the Veterans Fair at the Elks Lodge. And any veterans that are looking for jobs that are out there or need some help, legal help, whatever the help is, this is a great, wonderful event that the city has undertaken in Garden Grove. She's held it here every year. It gets bigger and bigger every year. So in wrapping it up on my Vietnam friends and allies here in America and residents and citizens, just to give you of how they've impacted the world and how they have brought such greatness to this country. The United States took in 823,000 Vietnam refugees. Canada took in 137,000. Australia took in 137,000. France took in 96,000. And Germany took in 40,000, Britain 19,000, and Japan 11,000. So let's have some civility and have some support for the American vet. Thank you.
Verla Lambert.
I did just put oral communication on my card, but it is mainly on the marijuana issue. Do you
Okay,
want
go
me to-
ahead, go ahead,
Go
baby.
ahead. I'm speaking on this subject tonight, and it's one of my very passionate subjects, if you remember. So excuse me if my voice breaks up. Just be patient with me. I know I only have 3 minutes this time. A few meetings ago, there was a couple of spokesladies that came here talking about parents hosting teen parties. And they had allowed drinking. The reason given was they go out, they'll drink anyway. And they felt that it was safer if they was at home. Well, bottom line, it isn't safer. It's just easier. And I feel that the same scenario about the marijuana shops. It wasn't easy. It was easier to let them in than to fight them. And I do remember that the citizens of Garden Grove in 2008 it was on the ballot, and we did want them banned at that time. I know money was the reason that was given, but other cities have done it. I was sent this email, which I had passed around for each of you. So people are still reaching out to me to help pass on how they feel. And I did do a little research on my own on the PC. I understand that, and I've read even in today's paper, that you are putting forth some effort. And I really appreciate that. I just feel like action is happening. I almost didn't get up here to speak because you are doing something. I don't know. I know this job of yours is not easy. I've been up here several times, and if it was easy, I would be sitting in one of those chairs. The majority of the Garden Grove citizens voted you in to take care of our city. Some of us would like to see it cleaned up and shine once again. And I don't mean glow with big billboards and towered hotels. And I don't want to hear again what you had done 15 or 20 years ago. We have a young, new council fairly new council and I want to see what you can do. Please turn all of our green crosses into red crosses and keep your eyes open on these teen parties. And let's make Garden Grove shine again and get it cleaned up. Thank you for listening.
Josh McIntosh.
Somebody left their mics up here. All right. Well, before I get started, I'm going to kind of second what Verla had to say there about representation and whatnot. You were all elected to represent the people of Garden Grove, and apparently there's a lot of people here with something on their mind tonight. I'm not taking any side of this one because I want. All right, I'm not going there. I'm sure all these people have plenty of intelligent stuff to say tonight. Okay. Good evening. I'm here to ask the city to consider purchasing the historic Lake House at 12591 Euclid Street. This colonial revival home was built around 1925, and it is easily one of the most recognizable properties in our city. The home is currently listed for sale, and I strongly believe that our city should purchase the home, renovate it as needed, and then rent it out through our Community Services Department as a wedding rental location. The wedding business is absolutely huge. That house gets lots of visibility, and I'm certain that it would be rented out almost on a weekly basis. For decades, people have driven past this beautiful home and imagined what it would be like to live there, or at least to attend a party of some kind here. The grounds are over a half an acre spread, and there'd be enough room for a wedding ceremony and reception on the grounds. There's plenty of nearby churches that could also perform the wedding ceremony, and then the guests could walk in 10 minutes or less to the reception area. We've got a perfect opportunity to have our very own Gatsby's Place right here in Garden Grove. I will remind or advise you that this is once the home of our first mayor, H. Lewis Lake. The Lake family is also a very important part of building our city's homes. They operated the Garden Grove Lumber and Cement Company, where the Costco now stands. The Lake House is listed in the Garden Grove Historic and Architectural Resources Inventory with a Grade 1 significance level. There are only 3 properties that hold this title: the Lake House, the Stanley Warehouse, and my house on Stanford Avenue. Luckily, the Stanley Warehouse was moved to our Historic Society grounds and is being preserved. Of course, I'm doing whatever I can to preserve my home as well, but unfortunately, the Lake House is now an endangered species. It would be all too easy for a developer to come in, buy the home, bulldoze it, and turn it into yet another condominium complex. We certainly don't need another condominium complex in Garden Grove. We have enough of them. We need to preserve the last few remaining gems that we have left in the city. We have allowed too many of our landmarks and historic structures to be torn down in the name of progress, only to become outdated in their design within a couple of decades down the road, and then they become blighted as well. Cities like Santa Ana, Anaheim, and Orange have all learned the lesson of preservation and repurposing their historic structures. It's time for Garden Grove to pay attention and to act quickly. By purchasing the lake home and repurposing it as a community rental facility, we'll be saving a beautiful home, which would actually bring up the market value of our homes around it and create a source of revenue for the city. We're talking about the future of our downtown area in our study session last go-round, and the lake house was mentioned in that study session. I'm begging you to do the right thing and preserve this Garden Grove landmark. Thank you.
Peggy Bergen.
Haven't been here for a while. I am no longer a resident, but I still am a property owner, and I still keep a keen interest on what's going on. Roll on Strawberry Festival, next weekend. But anyways, I'm here for something that nobody else will bring up, so I'm very proud of that. As we all know, the Crystal Cathedral and St. Callistus are going to be exchanging locations. We will be taking over the Crystal Cathedral as of noon on June 29th, and the Crystal Cathedral, as we know it, will have their last Sunday service the 23rd of May. So there's a lot of history, which Josh just made reference to, happening on Lewis Boulevard, Lewis Street, within the next 5 to 6 weeks. And I am here basically as a parishioner at St. Callistus since 1978. I was there while they built the new church, and we had a park God knows where, while half the parking lot was full of building equipment. We planned on staying there forever. But things happen. And the Diocese of Orange had the opportunity to buy the Crystal Cathedral and use that as our new future Christ Cathedral. Well, on the 29th, when the church, we have our last services, which will consist of going to different rooms throughout the facility, saying prayers, removing objects, and then processing in one fashion or another to the Crystal Cathedral for our first celebration there, which will be an outdoor celebration celebrated by Bishop Van. So it's going to be a big day for our church, very big. And it's also a very big day for the Crystal Cathedral because they will no longer exist by the same name, the same location, and the same historic group that built that wonderful location for in our city. Put us on the map in a big way before we had hotels. People know all over the world about the Crystal Cathedral, and a lot of people, I just came back from Australia, look at that as their Sunday service every week. But anyways, what our church has been proposing, and according to them, they have sent a few letters here and requested that Lewis Street be blocked off for approximately 4 to 5 hours on that Saturday, so we can process from our church and they can process from theirs. We can meet on the bridge and basically, exchange keys or whatever you want to call it, to make a historic moment for both churches. Both churches are going through devastating times. Just imagine the paperwork of if the city had to be out of here. How much paper you'd have to just file away and find someplace. They both have over 50 years of history that they have to move, relocate, and keep all of that paperwork, because you cannot put through the shredder anyone's baptism certificate. That is an official document. But they would like that, and they have contacted the city a couple of times and asked. And I do know, and I've been here many, many, many times since 2003 when I started attending these meetings, that we do let the Boxcar Derby on Springdale use the street on a Saturday. And that is not a historic. That's a yearly activity. This is a historic event that I hope some of our newspaper men here would like to come and observe on that day, because there are going to be two groups. The St. Callistus family entails more than 8,000 families. Granted, they all don't come every week, but they do come. That's 8,000 families that the majority of them live in Garden Grove. That's a big impact, and they would be graciously thankful to this city that would approve that, and they will get in touch with you again, and I'm going to give Kathy the numbers of both Father Twin and Gemma, the office supervisor, to get a hold of them and find out exactly what they are looking for and the hours involved. But this is going to be a historic Saturday for this end of town. And our end of town doesn't have too many really splashy activities. But I do think it's very worthwhile, and it will give a lot of people some type of a feeling of fulfillment, closure, which is a terrible word, it doesn't really. But it will be an event. They want some physical sign that one is ending and the other is beginning, and this would be a wonderful way to do it. Thank you very much in advance, and I will give her the numbers right now. Thank you.
Charles Mitchell.
That's quite an obstacle course. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and staff.
Kingsley, turn the red light off.
Thank you. I didn't think I was out of time already.
I was going to get ready fast.
I'm here to talk about the Gem Theater. Now, the Gem Theater is something that the city owns and has been involved in a lot of the refurbishing, particularly since the fire, and trying to get it back on its feet and productive again. Now, Damien is a wonderful actor and director, and he puts on some fantastic shows. Damien's downfall, unfortunately, is that he is not that much of a businessman, and that has been a problem with the Gem Theater. My wife and I, when it first opened, or reopened, bought season tickets. We went to many shows that we thoroughly enjoyed, and we looked forward to another season. And we waited, and we waited. We didn't get any notification of when we needed to send in our money for our season tickets. Finally, we started calling. We could get no response. So we finally gave up. It was our loss, and it was a loss to the Gem Theater. But what I think might be possible is for the city to hire someone as a private contractor, not as a city employee, to operate the business side of the Gem Theater, take care of all the advertising, ticket sales, all of the things that are important to keep something like that going and keep it thriving. And their salary could be paid out of the proceeds from the productions. And the more successful they are in drawing people in to see the Gem Theater productions, the better off they're going to be salary-wise. So I'd just like the city to consider that as an option so that we can make the gym really shine again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitchell. Rod Powell.
Hi, my name is Rod Powell. I didn't know if I'd get up here or not. When I went to traffic school, I was just thinking, this is my opening. When I went to traffic school, they had each one of us stand up and say what we were there for. And it was amazing. You know, the majority of the people were in there for speeding. And the majority of them were young people, young women. It's scary. You know, it scared me. You know, I mean, we're talking 17 years old, and I'm thinking, I better drive safe. You know, I had made an illegal turn against a no turn on red at Brookhurst and Garden Grove Boulevard. I don't do that anymore. If you were to survey the people that come into the medical marijuana dispensaries for how they qualify to get the pot, you would be amazed, I'm sure. Depression. You know, depression. You know, it would be stunning to see how many people are in there for what was not originally voted upon when whoever voted to pass the Compassionate Act. I don't know where things got twisted, how it's come to this, how Garden Grove has become the dispensary capital of the world. It's funny, if you're going to speak at this podium tonight and your position is against the dispensaries, you're going to hear the groans, the disrespect. This is what we deal with. That's what we deal with when I go to my dentist and there's a pot shop literally 2 feet from where I open my door to go get my filling. And there, you know, I've already walked past a security guard. I walked past a guy coming down the stairs. I remember asking him, you know, are you here for the pot? Yeah. It was, you know, I mean, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. I really don't, you know. But
hey, he's getting his turn. You will all get yours.
That's right.
Let him have it.
Accept my apology or not. The bottom line is this is what we're dealing with. I run sober living houses. I have guys that are in my houses that are in there to try to stay clean and sober off of a lifetime of debilitating addiction. You'd be amazed how many of these people, it turns out, and I've been doing this for a long time, 20-some years. We've never had a problem with people coming in on medical marijuana cards. There's tons of people come into the houses now. I have it on my applications now. No medical marijuana cards accepted. Because most of those people, they end up selling them to the other residents. They'll end up relapsing on the drug of choice now that they're abused. It's insanity. Enough on that. I'm just telling you, this is hurting a lot of people. It may be helping some people, but it's hurting a lot of people. If you want to see both sides, someone said, Davidville, and I appreciate that. We talked over the weekend about that. Legitimate pain. I'm not against anyone that needs medical marijuana for the compassionate use that was voted upon at all. The people that really need that should be upset at how twisted it's become to where now they can't get what they need because how many people are using it because they simply enjoy smoking marijuana. Bottom line. Most of the people going into these pot shops enjoy smoking marijuana. That's why they're here tonight. I trust that the City Council will. Marijuana is a banned substance in the United States of America. We know that, and yet somehow this has all become twisted, and now you have literally 2 states voting pot to be legal. I don't know. Do they want to secede from the nation? You know, is that what it's going to come down to? Some states, over their few citizens wanting to get high, are going to secede from the nation so that they can smoke pot. You know.
Hey, let him have his time, or we just cut this off now. We do not have to speak on this issue. It is not on the agenda. Let him have his time, please.
My only final statement is, please, we do have laws in this country, and I hope that the city will do what is right by your hearts. Thank you.
Rick Goyette. Goyette. The next one will be Craig Haslett after Rick.
It does not appear that anyone's coming, Mr. Mayor.
Rick Haslett. Excuse me, Greg Haslett. Is there Greg Haslett here?
It's be spelled differently.
Hello, my name is Bethany Hazlett. I'm his daughter. Unfortunately, my dad had to go home because he had to medicate, and unfortunately, it was medical marijuana. He has a disease he was diagnosed with gastroparesis. He takes shots of Dilaudid daily. Honestly, I'd rather see my dad smoking medical marijuana over a drug that can cause so many more things. He's not eating. He's lost over 100 pounds. He's lost so much weight from just the disease itself, and then also the drugs on top of it, and it causes mood swings. Medical marijuana helps cause everything a little bit less, helps him eat, helps him not look so like he's anorexic, you know what I mean? Medical marijuana isn't a bad thing. I mean, some people do look at it as a bad thing, but we gotta open our eyes to the people that really do need it. And the guy earlier talking about depression, he doesn't know if those kids do have the depression, you know what I mean? We're all going through different things in the world. The world's changing, you know.
Every time you clap and cut her off, you are knocking her time down.
Okay. And I just wanted to say, you know, we should keep our minds open. Not necessarily do you agree with it. Maybe we can regulate it. Maybe there can be some source of donation to go to helping the homeless, helping other people around us that need it. Maybe going toward the community itself. We just open our eyes, and necessarily it's not necessarily a bad thing either. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Lopez. We have Robert Lopez here. Next person will be Mary Locken.
Good evening, Mayor Broadwater, Mayor Pro Tem, Ms. Wynn. Thank you, and members of the board. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity of providing an open forum to discuss the issue of medical marijuana dispensaries within the community. What concerns me, however, is Garden Grove, the city of youth and ambition, Yet it's my understanding that there will be a $60 million budget gap over the next 2 years in the Garden Grove School District. In order to provide our children with the best educational opportunities possible, I wondered if the council had given consideration to the potential revenue source provided by the operation of the medical marijuana dispensaries. There are current ballot initiatives in Los Angeles that create tax flows directly to the city. Now, it would be, of course, my personal preference that these funds be earmarked for education. And most importantly, I believe it gives the city a sense of control over how the businesses operate. It gives the city control to look at their books, to monitor traffic, to get crime statistics that are meaningful so that we maintain the comfort and safety for all citizens. And also, as a personal aside, I'm coming out of the closet tonight as a medical marijuana patient. You see, there are a whole lot of us that are invisible to you. We're productive, successful citizens whom medicine offers no alternative. I'm here tonight to come out of the closet and say to you that a lot of my friends who are in similar medical situations where the physicians have advised us, you have no more options, have been offered a quality of life beyond what medicine has to offer to us. I beg of you, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Seek opportunities to enrich our streets, enrich without taxing the good citizens, without putting additional economic stress on small businesses, and seek to explore other avenues of revenue for the city. Please don't take away my quality of life. I beg you.
I think we missed a guy named Robert Lopez. Did he make it? He did? He didn't answer it. Okay. Doug Baird.
Mayor, City Council, thank you. I commend you guys for your efforts on closing down these medical marijuana facilities. Currently, with the current legislation the way it is, this medical marijuana stuff in this particular city has gotten out of hand. There's over 70 of these medical marijuana facilities, and this stuff has become easier to get than my cardiac medication. Okay? My cardiac medication requires only so many refills. It has the appropriate name on it as to who it belongs to. My cardiac medication has the doctor's name on it. It has the pharmacy who prescribed this medication. And before I can get more refills, I have to go see the doctor to get more refills. These guys for an ingrown toenail are getting lifelong prescriptions to astronomical amounts of medication. It's ridiculous. This stuff is winding up in our schools. There's currently a 4-month waiting list for these juveniles to get into the drug diversion programs when they're arrested. I speak from experience. My 16-year-old son was arrested because he purchased it at school. It has taken him 4 months to get into the drug diversion program because he purchased this stuff at school. It was in a medical marijuana container. I moved to this city over 40 years ago when my mom went to work for the police department. I realized the city was roots come from horticulture, but it was strawberries we were growing, not pot. Thank you for closing them down. Please bring the strawberries back and get rid of the dope. Thank you.
Robert L. White.
Thank you for hearing me, Mayor and City Council. My name is Robert White. I own KDC, Catella Discount. I've listened to both sides of this, And I'm not here to argue the merits of marijuana or to discuss what cigarettes and alcohol does to human beings. None of that is what we're here for. But doing the operation of my first clinic, which is right behind Albertsons at 9774 Catella, at the time I started it, the city sent us a packet stating that we could become licensed if all the criteria was followed. Now, we submitted that packet 2 days, I believe, in September before the hearing date that each medical marijuana operator, such as myself, could speak to you guys and see if we could get licensed. There was a stay, and I guess that stay had something to do with the Supreme Court, state of California. I understand there's way too many clinics. I see it more. As this gentleman states about kids, we do not let kids in. But I've seen kids at so many of these collectors sitting outside on skateboards and bikes. That is the truth. But at mine, it has never happened. I've never been cited by the Garden Grove PD. We've never had an altercation or anything, but so be it. But what I'm asking is, are we able to ever get back to the licensing and to weed out whatever the problem is that you want to clean up, organized crime or the selling of wax or what have you. But there are people that need it. There really are. We all know that, and I'm not here to argue. But all I'm asking is, can we get back to that licensing period? And in answer to your first question, Mayor Broadwater, when we received the letter, I guess that's why a lot of us are here, it gave us 7 days, and today at 11:59 p.m. tonight, my clinic will be closed. I paint between the lines very well. But I would like to know if anytime in the near future that we could discuss, or if it's possible, the licensing, and to do what we have to do to weed out the bad ones. Also, as someone brought forth to you, the taxation. Tax them. I mean, we do make decent money, let's be honest. But let's tax it. Do with the money something that can be positive for the community, to where it could help children such as this gentleman is talking about. I mean, we do it with the cigarette companies, correct? Let's do it with the medical marijuana. Not here to argue. I appreciate you guys even giving me the opportunity to talk. Thank you guys so very much.
Roxanne Cadora Rivera.
Good evening, Mayor and council members, staff. I'm here in support of not wanting these shops to close. Reason being is I myself am an actual patient. I'm not just some dumb pothead that enjoys smoking. I actually use it because, guess what? Being hopped up on Vicodins and codeine, waking up groggy for me to go to my 40-hour-a-week job is not an option. And yes, a lot of kids do get a hold of it, but closing the shops is not going to change that. They were there before then. I've had so many cousins that are older than myself before shops were even known. And it's easier, yes, it is easier to go to a shop, and I'd rather be able to go to a shop and feel safe as I would going to CVS and picking up a bottle of ibuprofen than to have to go in the street and meet somebody down the street just to pick up something that should be fine to have. We're not picking up crack, we're not picking up meth. Granted, those are huge issues. Those are the issues that need to be focused on. Kids are always going to get a hold of alcohol. They're going to get a hold of tobacco because they have older cousins, family members that are going to give it to them. So closing the shops is not going to change that. Now, they do need to be regulated. And just like other people said, they can be taxed. There can be a lot of benefit to the city financially when there's a lot of cities in that financial situation. So I'm asking, yes, those letters, that's why we're here, because it's concerning to a lot of us that actually need it. So we ask you to reconsider and to think about the benefits that could be to the city financially. Have a good evening.
We're about halfway through the cards And we have a couple of things we really need to do, so we're going to discontinue oral communication for just a little while. Let's go to number 6A.
Mr. Mayor, that is a resolution declaring the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2013, as City Clerks Week in the city of Garden Grove.
This is consent item. Did you
6A, wasn't it consent
call
item?
out 6A in specific?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. Absolutely,
Are you
sir.
pulling 6A?
No, I'm not pulling it. I'm taking it out of context. I mean, forget it. We're doing it.
Let's do this thing.
Okay, go ahead.
That's it, Mr. Mayor. Item 6A is a resolution declaring May 5th through May 12th, City Clerks Week here in Garden Grove.
Okay, City Clerks Week in Garden Grove. This is something new. Whereas the office of the city clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the city clerk is the oldest of the municipal offices, I'm going to do all these whereases. Whereas. Now, therefore, the City Council, City of Garden Grove resolves this week of May 5th through May 11th shall be observed as City Clerks Week in the City of Garden Grove, and further extend appreciation to the staff of the City Clerk's office, Mrs. Baylor, and the city clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Ms. Baylor, would you please come here and get this? Now, what goes with the city? What goes with the city clerks?
No.
Declaring the week City Garden Grove City Clerks Week is a cake. Now, you people that smoke marijuana, do you eat cake? Because we're going to take 5 minutes and eat her cake before we're done.
Is it medicated?
Boy Scouts first. Get out there and get it, guys.
Okay, cool.
Okay, at this time, we reconvene the city council, and at the same time, we'll recess it, and we're going to go to the City of Garden Grove Successor Agency.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll call to order the Successor Agency for Community Development for Garden Grove. Madam Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Member Broadwater?
Here.
Member Wynn? Here. Member Fawn?
Here.
Vice Chair Beard?
Here.
Chair Jones?
Here. Oral communications we did in conjunction with City Council in this regard, so move on to consent items, basically just the minutes from February 26th. Do I have a motion?
Move the issue.
Second.
Call the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
There are no public hearings, no items. Do we have any matters from agency members?
No.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thanks.
Okay, at this at this time, we'll reconvene the city council, and we'll go to consent items.
Mayor, I'd like to, I'm going to recuse myself from 6G, but I'll move the balance.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Let's go to 6B.
G.
G.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Wynn? Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Okay, very good.
Member Jones being absent.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to public hearings.
Mr. Mayor, your public hearing tonight is to consider adoption of the 2013-14 Annual Action Plan for our use of HUD monies, and Allison Mills is here to give a staff report on this item.
Good evening, Council. The item you have before you tonight is the draft 2013-2014 Action Plan for the use of HUD funds. As a recipient of HUD funds, federal law requires that all jurisdictions who receive Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, and Emergency Solution Grant funds prepare an action plan. This action plan specifically identifies how these 3 types of HUD funds will be allocated to the 11 priority objectives that were identified in the city's 5-year consolidated plan. During the program year, an estimated $5.4 million in HUD funds will be available. This includes $2.8 million in carryover funds from prior years, and an estimated $2.5 million in new funds. These figures are estimates, as the city's new federal allocations are not yet known. When the exact allocations are known, the proposed budgets will be adjusted as necessary. During 2013-14, HUD funds will address affordable housing improvement and rehabilitation, public services, emergency services, neighborhood improvement, and economic development. Staff's funding recommendations for public services and emergency services are for the maximum amount available in each category. We are currently in the public review and comment period for the action plan, which has been available for public review and comment since April 12th and will continue until the conclusion of the public hearing tonight. Last night, the Neighborhood Improvement and Conservation Commission held a public hearing to receive comments on the draft action plan. Comments were received, and at the conclusion of the public hearing, the Commission recommended transmittal of the draft action plan to Council. Tonight, you're asked to conduct a public hearing to hear and consider public comments, review staff's funding recommendations, approve the 2013-14 action plan, and authorize the city manager to execute related documents and agreements. This concludes my report, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you have anything for any questions for staff? Hearing none at this time, we will open up the public hearing. We have a number of cards here. Timothy, Huynh.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and City staff. My name is Timothy Huynh. I'm a senior manager on the development team at Mercy House. Mercy House is one of the agencies that was selected for funding by city staff through the Garden Grove ESG grant. The program selected for funding is our Armory Emergency Shelter Program, which is a program that provides emergency shelter to the homeless here in Orange County during the winter season. I'm just here to say thank you to the City of Garden Grove. Thank you to the hard work that city staff does, and just thank you for joining together with us to help the homeless here in our community.
Thank you very much. David Levy. No, wait a minute. I'm not calling you yet. I got it right. David Levy, you're right. Come on.
I think I know my name.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you. Good evening, members of the council. I'm David Levy with the Fair Housing Council of Orange County. And on this agenda item this evening, I'd like to address specifically the provision of fair housing services in the action plan. Up until the current program year, the Fair Housing Council of Orange County was the fair housing services provider for the city of Garden Grove. For the current year, the city chose to go with another provider, the Fair Housing Foundation of Long Beach. We would very much like to return as being the fair housing services provider for the city of Garden Grove. This is the second public hearing in as many days on this issue. I was at the commission meeting last night. I hope that your written report does reflect that the date of the meeting for the commission was last night, because the one that's on the website says the commission met a week ago on the 6th, that meeting was canceled. As I said, we have been the provider previously. We'd like to do that. At the commission meeting last night, it seemed the commissioners were in the dark as to the fact that there were even two competing proposals for those services. We submitted a proposal to do the services for $29,000. The Fair Housing Foundation submitted a proposal for $34,000. I think it's $492, and that's the one that's being recommended. It was presented that the commission made a recommendation to follow the staff's recommendation. Well, only 3 of the 6 commissioners actually voted in favor. 2 members abstained because they were in doubt and confused about the whole process, I think. I'm not sure what the rules of order for the commission are as to whether it's a majority of those present, a majority of those voting, majority of its members. I think it's just a 6-member commission. But anyway, only 3 voted in the affirmative. I think you should know that, just so it's clear. We do provide walk-in services at our agency only 8 miles from here. Rather than having people have to go to Long Beach. You'll hear from the Fair Housing Foundation that they propose to open an office in Orange County. They have not yet done so, although they've been here for quite a few years now. We think we can serve the city much better. The thing I want to specifically address is the fact that we have a Vietnamese-speaking staff person who can handle Vietnamese-speaking clients in need of service. I don't believe the Fair Housing Foundation does. You'll probably hear from them that they're going to translate 2 pieces of their literature into Vietnamese, which is commendable. But what about direct services? What about somebody who calls us with limited English proficiency? HUD has said that cities that receive these monies must abide by their guidelines for limited English proficiency. We have sent a letter to HUD regarding this issue, a copy of which was made available to your city manager. We will be pursuing that aspect because we don't think the current provider meets the language needs of this city. I hope you'll be aware of that. Thank you. Any questions?
Lynn Tran.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council member. My name is Lynn Tran, and I work for the Fair Housing Council of Orange County. And I would like to express that we do have a lot of Vietnamese people call in to our agency and ask for services. And most of them don't speak English. And most of them like to come to our agency person to person. That's the way Asian people usually like to communicate. And our agency is closed. And I would like that you reconsider giving our agency the funding so that we can assist the people, the Vietnamese community. That's all.
Thank you very much. Denise Cotto? Catto?
Good evening, Mayor, City Councilman, staff. My name's Denise Cato. I'm the President and CEO of the Fair Housing Council of Orange County. We've serviced your community for over 40 years. I've been at the council as CEO for 3 years, and prior to that as COO. I started in 94 as Director of Litigation, and I left in 2001, and the board brought me back. There was problems with the Fair Housing Council of Orange County. I would admit that we had problems with our lines. We had a phone problem, that we had a contract that I couldn't get out of. We had to basically wait until the contract was over. But as far as our staff, my staff ranged from 4.5 years to Dave Levy, that's going to be on the staff for 20 years. I'm a paralegal. I'm a certified mediator where I can work in the courts. I'm an expert in fair housing. I bill $400 an hour, a 3-hour minimum. I'm known with the letters of recommendation across this state and this country as an excellent trainer. I'm a firm believer that you don't have to have frivolous lawsuits in your city. If you educate your housing industry how to run a business successfully. I'm a firm believer. I'm very proud of my agency. I'm very proud of my board. We're the first board in the country that have 3 representatives from the 3 largest manager apartment associations across the country that sit on our board. It's not that myth that landlords challenging Fair Housing Council, we're against them. We only provide information and the law. And as I stated, if you educate the public, then you're saving your taxpayers as well as ours. For the last year, we have serviced residents from Garden Grove because there is a language barrier when you talk about the Vietnamese community. And I'm asked by other cities, how can we do that? Because we're the only HUD certified counseling agency in the state of California. So I have 3 separate HUD grants. I have a comprehension grant. We have a FIP grant that gives us extra money to enhance ours. And we're the only Fair Housing Council that has a foreclosure grant. That means anyone in the state of California, I'm sorry, sir, anyone in the state of California could basically come to our agency and we can help them get their houses remodified or their loans extended, and it's free to your residents. We just finished a grant with the Department of Justice. As far as monitoring, we are monitored constantly by HUD and the Department of Justice. We have excellent monitoring. Miss Allison Mills was asked last night, why did they leave us? She didn't say anything about our work. I was asked for a resolution. I got an email that they were asking the city of Garden Grove for a resolution. I gave her a call back and told her in December, our board doesn't meet. It's dark. We meet the third Wednesday of every month, and that I would get it to her in January because the board has to vote on it. The third Wednesday after it was signed, we package it. She probably got it the end of February or the beginning of March. It wasn't told to me that it was a rush. Every class I ever teach basically has my cell phone number, and if you call every city representative, she said that she called and a voicemail was full. Well, I have to check it 3 to 4 times when you've been teaching as long as I have for the 3 largest apartment associations across the country, and you give your telephone number to all of them. It does fill out. What I want you to do, we're a great agency. We are here in Orange County, and I wish you would reconsider the recommendation. Thank you tonight.
Hold on, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have Spanish-speaking staff?
We have 4. Spanish-speaking and Vietnamese. And we have a volunteer, Mr. Coy, who's retired, that worked for the agency 17 years, that also assists us. Thank you, ma'am.
Coy fam.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Fan. I'm working for fair housing approximately about 20 years as a landlord tenant director at that time. So right now, I just heard a lot of Vietnamese people that's living in Garden Grove calling me and ask for help. And I said, yeah, I try. I already retired, but I try to help because too many people, they need help because of Vietnamese people over here. That's the English is really that's not proficiency yet. So that's why they need help, and all of them call me, and I refer them to Fair Housing Council. Have a help. And I just have the limited time at home, so that's why I cannot help everybody. So when I refer them and they call back and they said that, okay, very good help, assistance from the Fair Housing Council. It's a good place, and most of them satisfied with the help from the Fair Housing Council people. So I think if we have something happen to the fair housing over there, no one can help. So that's they try and a kind of SOS. They believe that they have to leave the city. That's the point. I think that's we need the Fair Housing Council back to help them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Barbara Shaw.
Good evening. I'm Barbara Shaw with the Fair Housing Foundation. We are currently contracting with the City of Garden Grove for fair housing services. Although we've only been providing services for 10 months, as you know, the staff has recommended to continue funding us. That is for a multitude of reasons, but first and foremost, it is the presence that we have already established here in Garden Grove. Although our office is in Long Beach, 99% of most fair housing services provided throughout the nation is done over the phone, not in person. But beyond that fact, we come to the city. We are present in the city probably once a week. We were just here yesterday doing a landlord workshop, and we continue to do things all the time. I've provided you with a packet. It's the one with the little tabs. It includes letters of recommendations from 6 cities in Orange County that we provide service to. It's not from Apartment and Managers Associations, it's from cities. Last time I checked, the contract would be with the city and the organization, not with the Apartment and Managers Association and the organization. I believe that the city chose to seek another fair housing service provider for this current fiscal year, just like 10 other cities have searched for our services to change from the Orange County Fair Housing Organization. Ms. Cato just spoke and said that she's been with the organization for 4 years as the COO. She started in July, and it has been almost 5 years, and the cities still have the same problems. And the problems are not only with the direct services for clients, but with their presence in the city. And for the city of Garden Grove, they do not have a presence here. Normally I'd take this opportunity to tell you all about us and what we're doing great for the city, but there's been some accusations that I feel like I need to clear up. I think that our reputation and what we've already done in the city should speak for itself. First and foremost, we need to talk about the limited English issue in the city of Garden Grove. We understood when we wrote our proposal for Garden Grove that there is a large Vietnamese population. No, we do not have a Vietnamese person on staff. The contract doesn't even come close to being able to pay for that. But we have exceeded all the expectations of HUD to provide services in Vietnamese. We have our 2 main pieces of literature translated in Vietnamese. It's distributed everywhere we go. But mostly we have identified and been working with 10 local organizations here in Garden Grove that service the Vietnamese community. And they include the Buena Clinton Neighborhood Coalition, the Buena Clinton Food Distribution Group, Kelly Hein, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right. She is the Vietnamese Outreach Coordinator with the Police Department here in Garden Grove, the Magnolia Park Family Center, the Garden Grove School District, the Garden Grove Boys and Girls Club, and the Orange County Consumer Counseling. So we've already made tons of contacts. Just to give you an idea, we bring our services to you. We don't expect your clients to come to us. We're here all the time. In the 10 months we've been servicing Garden Grove, we have attended 5 Vietnamese community meetings. We've staffed 3 booths, conducted 3 certificate management trainings, conducted 5 community presentations. We staff a walk-in clinic here at the City Hall every month. We conducted 3 tenant workshops and 3 landlord workshops. We are here in the city. We're not doing our job in Santa Ana or in Long Beach and counting it for the city of Garden Grove. Lastly, we do contract with the Certified Languages International for translation in Vietnamese, as well as 100 other different languages for our organization. Although at last night's meeting it was alleged that we do not answer a phone, we do not counsel in Vietnamese, I'm not sure if it was a coincidence, but we have counseled 27 individuals from Garden Grove since October who are Vietnamese, and 7 of those did not speak English at all, and we provided translation services. Part of the packet under the pink tab is an intake and an activity log of a current Vietnamese client that does not speak English that we are working on obtaining his right to his housing. He received the wrong notices, and we're working with the manager and the tenant. So we do provide the service. The other thing is, in closing, I just want to say that I think staff is very happy with our working relationship with them. I know that the community is ecstatic with our involvement here. We're doing workshops all the time, and I just don't see a reason to change. Cities change for a reason. Those reasons still exist with the Fair Housing Council of Orange County. I'll take any of your questions.
No, you won't, because the time is up. Okay, any questions for her real quick?
Yeah. Do you have Spanish-speaking staff?
We have, I'm the only non-Spanish speaking. We have a certified ACL, American Sign Language, staff person, and the rest speak English and Spanish.
How many is the rest?
8.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for staff?
Yes.
Was that all the cards?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Oh, at this time, anybody else want to speak on this issue? At this time, we'll close the public hearing.
Do we have a staff report or explanation as to one group over the other, or is there something we should be aware of?
The Fair Housing Council provided fair housing services for the city for many years. I don't know how many, but it was a number of years. Over the last few years, we found it increasingly difficult to communicate with the staff at the Fair Housing Council. Phone calls went unanswered, emails went unanswered, and as Ms. Cato referred to, we had trouble getting their corporate resolution so that we could even finalize and execute their written agreement. It was very difficult to communicate with them. That's what prompted the change for this current year. With the change, we find that the Fair Housing Foundation they actually pick up their phone, they answer. There is no problem with communication. But what we were pleasantly surprised was to see how much they actually do in the city and how much they engage with me and my staff to help promote the seminars and trainings that they have within the city. They seek our help in publicizing, making sure that their seminars are published in our city publications, and that they really try to get the word out that they are coming here and that our community can come here and avail themselves of their services.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one question. As far as any feedback from the community as far as the language barrier, I understand that the foundation doesn't have a Vietnamese speaker on their staff. Any feedback from the community as far as that problem?
I've had absolutely no feedback or no complaints from the community. The first time I became aware that there could possibly be a language problem was when I received a copy of the letter signed by Ms. Cato that she directed to HUD. Obviously, when I received the letter, I was concerned, and I called our housing authority, which has a very large Vietnamese-speaking clientele, and wanted to see if they had heard any complaints or comments, and they said they had not.
I don't have questions, but I have concerns because Mr. Khoi Nguyen is an expert in housing authority in the Vietnamese community. And he has mentioned, he's retired now, so he's not with any agency, so I don't believe he has any bias or whatsoever. And he gets a lot of calls. And if people are saying that they have to go through him to communicate, that means we have not provided the service or the communication that let them know we do have an agency for that. And aside from Mr. Khoi Nguyen, I receive a lot of phone calls, which I direct to Danny Huynh of our housing authority. So because of that, to me, I don't think it's coincidental. I think it's consistent with what Mr. Khoi Nguyen is saying. I don't believe that, I do believe that staff may be working well with this new agency, but maybe the people we serve are not working well with the new agency, and it's probably time for us to pull probably this part of it from the report and relook at the services provided, because I also have a concern about the Latino community. Between the Latino community and the Vietnamese community, they communicate differently. They don't do seminars. They like to hear things from the radio or TV, tell them about what's available for them, or on the newspaper. They don't do, it's not a seminar, it's not some things that they're used to. So maybe we have to talk about some other ways to communicate with them.
You know, one of the things, two things I noticed. First of all, Mrs. Cato, I mean, she's tough. I mean, she's ready to tear that thing down, that podium down to get at us. But anyway, we have done you nothing wrong, Miss Cato. I mean, on the other hand, the Long Beach Foundation, I hire interpreters all the time. And boy, interpreters are a lot more expensive than hiring somebody full-time. I would think you'd have at least one member of their full-time as Vietnamese. I think that I will vote to continue with, I have a lot of faith in our own staff. And I will probably go with our own staff, but it seems to me that there should be at least one Vietnamese person that speaks the language on the foundation staff. I mean, they can hire all the interpreters in the world, but interpreters are $200 and $300 an hour. Yeah, maybe not that much, but probably at least $150 an hour.
$1.96 a minute.
That's what I said, $150 an hour. Right on. So, I don't know.
I want to continue it. I want to look more into this matter because almost a half of our community is Latino and a third is Vietnamese. And there is concern because I get those calls and I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable just because we work well with one agency doesn't mean the people are being served. And I'd like to look into it, see where the gap is. That doesn't mean that we're not going to keep the current agency, but I want to look at it closer before we make the decision. And maybe we may need to split the baby just to cover everybody. But I'd like to look at the issue closer.
Mr. Mayor, question. Does this have to be approved today, the adoption of the plan? Is there any timing issues with HUD on the plan?
Actually, there are. This action plan is to be submitted to HUD by Thursday. So if you do not approve it as submitted, then we wouldn't be able to submit it to HUD. What we could ask for is an extension. I'm not sure HUD would do that as we bring back the item on the 28th. So there is a timing issue if the action plan is not forwarded to HUD as prepared.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Given that, I don't think we should hold up all the other good programs because of this one. I'm not happy with moving forward, but I can't hold back the other good programs for this one. And I want to just put a warning in there that we need to be able to serve the people, especially people who don't speak English. And if staff could work with the agency as to other ways to communicate and maybe adding a staff, a Vietnamese-speaking staff, like Mr. Bardwater says. And then we have a whole year to look at this, and the Orange County Housing Council have a whole year to work at it again. And I believe that you can do it because you did it before. They served the minority community very well as the majority community, and fair competition. So you have a whole year to work on it, and may the best person in the next round will know what we need and who has been providing that.
Are you making a motion?
I make a motion to approve the plan.
Second, with one comment, is just to clarify for perspective too. This program planning and administration piece is $34,000. What's being debated out of $5.4 million worth of a program being administered through HUD. So it's a relatively insignificant piece. It's just and it's to assist and facilitate with staff. So I would concur with everything you said, but
thank you.
I don't want to hold up $5.4 million
right
over it.
You made a second.
May I second?
We have a motion and a second. Anybody want to make a
Third.
call for the vote?
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, let's go to commission and committee matters.
First up, Mr. Mayor, is the acceptance of a letter of resignation from our Main Street Commissioner, Jeremy Harris.
Okay, would you, I would make a motion that we accept that with, what do you call it?
Regrets.
Regrets.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Let's go back to the oral communication, and we'll come back to Main Street Assessment Districts, okay?
Okay.
Okay, very good. Okay, we're going back to oral communication. Your name will be called Chris, Roescn. Chris, you here?
I hear him.
I guess he's going to speak from there, though.
If he was saying what I thought he was saying, I hope so.
Does he know he's supposed to be in here at the top?
David, N-A-P-I-E-R, I-E-K, I-C, David. David here? He lives in Park Vista in Anaheim. David, you here? Once, twice, gone. George Reeves. George, you here? George Reeves.
A lot of people have left.
Okay. Rob Wayman.
Hello to the Honorable Mayor and City Council. I'm here tonight speaking on behalf of medical cannabis patients. With the 7-day letter you gave all of our clinics, I actually represent Organican Patients Collective. We're out in the industrials. We're away from schools. We're away from public's eye. You know, I think honestly we're like the textbook definition of what a collective should be doing. What we do is we provide a safe, professional location for an individual to come and get their cannabis and go back home and live a normal life. You know, people who smoke cannabis, it doesn't rule their life. It does not define who they are. Just because they so choose to use cannabis does not make their life all about cannabis. I think the shutting down of dispensaries, I can kind of see where you guys are coming from. There are a lot of dispensaries that are not in it for the right reasons, the whole wax issue, etc. But when it really comes down to is a safety issue. What you're doing is you're taking away these safe locations for individuals to come, collect their medication, go home, and live a normal life like everybody else. They're tax paying, they hold down 40-hour-a-week jobs, you know. And now you're relegating people to the streets where they might encounter a criminal that might have a gun. And I use this as an example, but if somebody goes to somebody in a car, hey man, you know, because this is what people were relegated to back when we didn't have cannabis dispensaries, is calling somebody up, where are they going to be, you know, and so you put people in a compromising situation where they could be harmed, where They could have a weapon. Police could show up. The person with the weapon gets sketchy. And now a firefight breaks out between a police officer and the person who's going to sell you cannabis because you can't go to your dispensary anymore. And at dispensaries, we have security, security in many different ways. You know, from a security guard to having people come in, show their license, they register with us, we know who they are, they know who we are. And again, they can come and get their medication and go home and live a simple or complex life. Who knows? But cannabis does not define who they are. It just happens to be a medication that they use. You know, there's a lot of people from Garden Grove who come to our collective, who are residents of your city, who pay taxes, who depend on you guys to make the best decisions for them when it comes to city matters. And I don't think it's a very good decision to just nix all collectives. I think you guys should enact regulation. We're willing to go along with regulation. We're looking for regulation. As a gentleman came up here earlier and stated he had filled out paperwork with the city, so have we. We were one of 16 that were told that we were on a waiting list to, in the future, have some kind of regulation and be one of the 16 places in Garden Grove to open up. We didn't hear anything past that. We just heard that we were on the list, and at some point in time, we'd hear, you know, when we were going to hear any answers from that. But we never did, and now we're being shut down. And I hope you guys reconsider and you put some regulation out there, and we're fully willing to comply with regulation, pay taxes, et cetera, et cetera. I thank you for hearing me tonight, and I hope you consider my words. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm running, not
Okay.
you. Okay, thanks. You're trying to take my pay away from me. Benjamin Smalley.
Evening, gentlemen, ma'am. My name is Benjamin Smalley. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, 4.5 years, 2 tours in Afghanistan, and I have, I don't have that long. So, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I saw a lot of stuff out there. I'll spare you the details. You know, I've dealt with nightmares. I've dealt with a lot of issues with my head, thinking, holding down a job, you know, outbursts. I mean, just, I have a rough time. Pot has helped me a lot. I've got a job now. I can work 40 hours a week. I have 3 kids I have to take care of, and I'm a better father now. Ask my wife. You know, I had no intention of getting back on weed. I've been off of it for 8 years now. It's 2013. After the Navy, it was a distant memory for me. Anyway, tried it. Started working a week later. It's been 7 months now, and no outbursts. I have a good night's sleep now. I can think straight. I'm good. I'm good now. And you know, the news yesterday, it shocked me to the core. You know, it scared me a lot because I don't want to go back on Zoloft. You know, it doesn't work. The stuff the VA, it doesn't work. That stuff does not work. Sorry, I don't know. I understand. I try to look at things from an opposite perspective. From a business owner's point of view, I would not want a bunch of crazy-looking people loitering out front of my business, scaring off my customers. You know, I understand that, but there's somebody used the phrase "throwing the baby out with the bathwater." Regulations, just throw some regulations on the folks. It is, this is a new thing for our country, having pot medicinalized. You know, you got to start somewhere. You can't just halt the development, you know, midway. You know, we've got people to where, you know, I have to go in and register with them. They know who I am, just like the guide said. You know, you go to some of these dispensaries and they're real shady looking. I mean, I don't like going in there. I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to be rubbing elbows with the people that are going in there, but they have control over their customers to a certain amount, just by their security out front. I mean, you've got loitering. People can post a sign about loitering. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do to regulate what's going on within your business, and I don't think that you should be trying to legislate responsibility into people. It doesn't work. You can look at history, and I mean, I don't need to beat all that in your head. Anyway, that's about all I had to say. Again, please don't just look at the people drawing attention to themselves. There's a whole lot of people out there that are legitimate, respectable folks that pot's not their whole life. You know, we don't sit there and draw attention to this is what we do. The people getting the bad attention, that's those folks. You know, and they're putting a bad label on all the rest of us who really do need a little help. I don't know. Anyways, that's all I got to say. Do you have any questions at all? Probably not.
Have a seat, please.
Thank you.
Rodolfo. We have a Rodolfo. Michael Evans. Brooke James. Are you one of those gentlemen I just called?
Michael Evans, sir.
All right, okay, thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. My name is Michael Evans, and I am an attorney, and I'm coming here on behalf of the Garden Groves Patient Group. They're a collective and a dispensary that has a dispensary at 139th and Harbor Boulevard in your fair city. I'm here to speak about an alternative to closing dispensaries within 7 days or within a period of 3.5 hours of today in this moment. Please don't take my position as agreeing with the ordinance or the zoning ordinance to shut down medical marijuana dispensaries. I fully support medical marijuana dispensaries and their purpose and position in this city and in the state of California. I'm asking you to reconsider the 7-day period in which you're choosing to shut down the dispensaries. I'm asking for a 90-day moratorium or stay of the zoning ordinance for the Garden Grove Patients Group and any other dispensary that would like to join in on this, so that these individuals can move their collective physically and that they can still administer to their patients during this transition. If I was standing before a court in an unlawful detainer and your brothers and sisters that sat on the bench ordered a client of mine out of their own home, they would give them the bare minimum of 30 days to leave. I set forth in a letter to you, which I've sent over to via email and facsimile, outlining what I believe is the interpretation of the law, because I have read the City of Riverside case, and I'm involved, at least part of my practice, in this area of the law. And what's clear is that the Compassionate Use Act and the Medical Marijuana Program Acts that were passed by the California legislature and signed into law by the governor state that it's an illegal act to impose criminal sanctions, civil penalties, or monetary sanctions upon dispensaries for acting in as medical marijuana dispensaries under the law. That is a legal act. And the very case that you are relying upon in your letter to ask these dispensaries to shut down in 7 days, that law by the Supreme Court also states that any zoning ordinance that is in violation or is in contradiction to the CUA or the MMP is preempted and an illegal act. I'm also asking you, as a practical matter, because the actual position in the case by the California Supreme Court states that the only sanction that is available to cities to enforce the ordinance is injunctive action. And as you're probably well aware, under the California Code of Civil Procedure, any defendant that is a party or subjected or been served has a period of 21 days, 21 court days, to at least respond. Those due process rights are important. As a practical matter, when you look at this, it's at least 30 days down the road if an action is filed today before anything could be heard and injunctive relief. I'm asking for you to at least, if you're going to ban marijuana dispensaries in your city, that you consider a 90-day moratorium and stay so that these people can properly transition physically. If you asked me to leave my home today, I couldn't leave in 7 days. I don't think any of you could leave in 7 days.
Where is your home?
My home is in the city of Los Angeles.
What part?
West Adams. I couldn't leave. I couldn't transition. I couldn't pack up that fast. This is a collective. These are large collectives with people. They have to meet with their collectives. These people depend upon these dispensaries for their medicinal marijuana. Allow them the opportunity, if you're going to take the action of banning banning dispensaries and enforcing the ordinance, if you do that, to give them 90 days or a 90-day moratorium. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. I called somebody named Rodolfo. Did that person show up? Dan Gleason?
I'm sorry, they said Brooke James.
Brooke James. We missed you, Brooke. Come on up to the...
I'm right here.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council members and staff. I'm here, of course, on behalf of medical marijuana dispensaries. I myself have been a resident of Garden Grove my whole life. I'm 33 years old. I know I look like a young lady, but I have a lot of ailments and issues that unfortunately can't help me except for medical marijuana. I am through with prescription pills. I can't get on with my everyday life taking those, and I found with medical marijuana it does help. Now that they've shut down our dispensaries, I have no access to my medicine safely. I have a local dispensary known by JQ that I go to on a daily basis. I have a very good establishment with them. They're very good at providing me my medicine and safely, and I just want to make sure that you guys realize that shutting these places down is just going to still cause people to get it other ways, and it's not going to be the safe ways, and unfortunately, like other people said before, can end in altercations with cops and guns and things that we don't need in our good community here. I do realize that they are out of control as far as the numbers go, but with your guys' help, you can help regulate that, and hopefully we can come to a conclusion where everybody can be happy. Also, as other people said, taxing it would help the community as well, help our community, help our state of California. Just please take that into consideration, you guys, because there's a lot of sick people out there that need the help. Thank you for your time.
Dan Gleason? Ms. Baylor, do you have any more cards over there?
Excuse me. Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak to you tonight. My name's Dan Gleason. I'm a member of the Garden Grove
drug-free coalition, and I've been working in Garden Grove for the last 5 years, primarily to reduce substance abuse among young people. And I just want to applaud you guys for your actions to close the dispensaries, and I'll tell you why. One of the things that's crystal clear when we look at all of the science is that marijuana is not good for kids. We know that it interferes with the adolescent developing brain. We know that it's a lung irritant and causes chronic bronchitis. It's linked to mental illness, including schizophrenia and psychosis. Long-term.
If you can't control yourself, leave, please.
We also know that long-term use early in life can cause up to 8-point decrease in IQ. The other thing is that marijuana is the #1 reason that adolescents enter substance abuse treatment in the United States and in California and in Garden Grove. So you might be wondering, what's the relationship between the dispensaries and kids, although a couple of people have made that connection. We know that the medical marijuana dispensaries have increased access to marijuana for kids going to school here in Garden Grove. There's a huge survey called the California Healthy Kids Survey. It's administered every 2 years all over the state of California, all over Orange County, and to kids here in Garden Grove. We added questions to the survey last spring. It was administered to 8,631 7th graders, 9th graders, and 11th graders, and the kids in non-traditional schools. And basically the questions were, where do you get your marijuana? Of the kids that report that they smoke marijuana in Garden Grove schools, we asked them, so where do you get it? And what we learned is that of the 11th grade students who reported that they used marijuana, 10% of them said they got it from a dispensary, and 68% of the non-traditional kids said they got it from a dispensary. So then we asked them, let's say you get it from a friend or a relative or an acquaintance. Where did they get it from? The 11th graders said 35% of those guys said that they got the marijuana from a dispensary, and 37% of the non-traditional kids said they got it from a dispensary. So, and I feel bad for people that get a medical benefit from marijuana, but you don't need 60 dispensaries in Garden Grove. There are dispensaries in other cities in Orange County. There are delivery services. You can get on the phone and call somebody. It's not like you close the 60 dispensaries in Garden Grove and everybody's got to go find a local drug dealer. That's just not the case. There's other ways to get it, legal ways to get it in other cities. Not every city's got massage parlors. You know, some cities have made the decision they're not going to have them in their communities. So people got to go to other communities to get certain services. And I just want to say that we think you guys are doing the right thing, and we appreciate it. And thank you for giving me the time.
David Santuri. David.
Just one moment, I have to get my potatoes.
No potatoes. Just come to the thing here. You don't need any potatoes.
Okay, well, they took them from me when I came in here. I guess they were afraid I was going to throw them at someone, but
I'm afraid you're going to throw them at me.
No, I would never do that. I have a great amount of respect for you guys and for the police.
No potatoes.
For keeping our community safe. It's actually probably better that they hang on to them, because what I was going to do was hold up the potatoes and say to you that if it's the government's job to keep everyone safe from everything that might harm them, then the police should take these potatoes from me, because in this small bag of potatoes, it's a lethal amount of a toxic substance. Now, I don't expect you to take my word for it, so I'll give these to the clerk. You can look at them later. Copies of a ruling in 1988 by DEA Administrative Law Judge Francis Young. And in the ruling, Judge Young noted that in strict medical terms, marijuana is far safer than many foods we commonly consume. For example, eating 10 raw potatoes can result in a toxic response. By comparison, it is physically impossible to eat enough marijuana to induce death. The judge goes on to say in the ruling, marijuana in its natural form is one of the safest therapeutically active substances known to man. By any measure of rational analysis, marijuana can be safely used within a supervised routine of medical care. There are a lot of misconceptions, there's a lot of misinformation, and forgive me, but it's outright lies. For decades, all of us have been lied to by the federal government. Marijuana is still, in spite of this judge's recommendation that it be taken off Schedule 1, along with other things like there's PCP on Schedule 1. Now, obviously that belongs there. Marijuana, if we were to go back about 100 years, in the 1800s, if you told a doctor, here, I want you to practice medicine, here's your medicine bag, and he opened it up and there was no cannabis in there, the first thing he would say is, where's my cannabis? How am I supposed to practice medicine without this? It's literally one of the most useful medicines known to man. That's why it's been used for thousands of years. And in thousands of years, and this is also noted in here, I'm not going to read it word for word, but in thousands of years of human use, there's not one recorded death from overdose on marijuana. It's one of the least toxic substances that humans consume. And so I wanted to bring this to your attention mainly because there's so much emotion on both sides of this issue. My wife suffered from panic attacks. Out of the blue one day, she started having horrendous panic attacks and thought she was going to die. The doctor put her on Prozac. And after that, when that was causing her to be worse and really go crazy, then they tried Zoloft. And at some point, she started having, these psychotropic drugs, they're FDA approved, they're supposedly safe for human consumption. Someone earlier talked about the rate of suicide of veterans, 22 a day on average. It's interesting if you look at how many veterans with PTSD are on FDA approved pharmaceuticals, and then if you look at the warning labels on these pharmaceuticals, they cause homicidal and or suicidal urges. And my wife was having vivid flashes, visuals of her just grabbing a kitchen knife and stabbing our son to death. And even aspirin, I wanted to go to the store before this, along with my potatoes. I wanted to show you a travel-sized bottle of aspirin, because in that bottle, there's enough aspirin in there that if I were to take them all, I would kill myself. And it's ironic that the one substance, the one medical substance that is natural and absolutely safe for people to use with very few side effects, that's the one demonized by the government. That's the one, and I don't know if it's because the pharmaceutical companies don't like it and people could grow it in their backyard potentially or what. But it's amazing that this is the demon weed when anything else that you buy that's FDA approved for human consumption is far more toxic. Everything else causes human deaths. There's almost 100,000 deaths a year if you look at the FDA's website and statistics from adverse reactions from FDA-approved pharmaceuticals, and not from overdoses, just people using them in accordance with their doctor's prescription. So I just wanted to come here and tell you that the paradigm is shifting. Americans, by and large, are realizing that it's not the dangerous thing we were taught for decades. It just isn't. Now, that being said, I don't want kids getting their hands on it. I don't want my kid getting his hands on it, certainly. And that's another reason why I think that you should consider, rather than outright banning dispensaries, but regulating them so that patients who legitimately need medical marijuana can get it in a safe way, because you're going to lose out on probably, I'm guessing, maybe more than $100,000 a year in tax revenue just by drawing a moral line in the sand based on lies, basically, because people are going to go to other cities, and that tax revenue is going to go elsewhere. And I just think there should be a common sense approach somewhere in the middle, because...
Your time is up, sir.
Okay. I just think people should have a choice between toxic chemicals or something natural.
You leave. Take those potatoes with you.
Okay, thank you.
It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me that so many people that are so avid about this and are so pro this don't stick around to hear what we have to say about it.
We'll stay.
Good. I'm glad you did. On June 7, 2012, in the city of Garden Grove, a male entered a dispensary and pointed a gun at the armed security guard's chest. The suspect robbed the armed security guard of his gun and left the area. On June 12, 2012, a volunteer at a marijuana dispensary contracted a male outside that was begging for marijuana. The volunteer was punched in the face numerous times, and the suspect left the area. On August 10th, 3 males entered a dispensary armed with handguns. 5 victims were pistol whipped and kicked in the head. Marijuana was stolen. On September the 6th, 2012, there was a burglary that occurred outright. The front doors were smashed, 3 dispensaries that are located side by side, and the marijuana was stolen. On October the 26th, 2012, there was an article in the Long Beach Press-Telegram titled, "Held on Drug-Tied Charges." People were arrested or were being indicted on narcotics trafficking conspiracy. The conspiracy count alleged that a ton of marijuana was distributed through the dispensaries in L.A. and Orange County. One of the dispensaries is in the city of Garden Grove. October 31st, 2012, a man entered a dispensary with a handgun and robbed the business, the marijuana, and the cash. I want you to be quiet while I finish. And if you can't, we got 3 people to escort you out of here in a minute. You've spoke up too many times already. On March 12, 2013, officers see males attempting to break in the River Marijuana Dispensary. The suspects try to flee and are apprehended by the police. On May 8, 2013, an 18-year-old student from Rancho Alamedas High School furnished a marijuana candy bar to 2 other students, and they both became ill. He later admitted that he has a medical marijuana card and that he purchased the candy from a local dispensary. The truth of the matter is, we haven't done anything new. What you're reading in the papers is the Supreme Court is the one that did something new. We tried to regulate, as one man got up and spoke, that we tried to regulate the guy with a lot of hair. There he is back there. We tried to regulate it, and it didn't work. The federal government wrote us a letter and said, if we recognized the marijuana dispensaries and we gave them city licenses and we took taxes from them, we would be in violation of the law, and the Justice Department would haul us in and take it. Now, that actually happened. After that, we threw out the plan, and then we eliminated it altogether. Now, you cannot own a dispensary in the city of Garden Grove. Now, how many dispensaries have we got in Garden Grove? Even though you can't own one, how many are here? No, actually, there's 61. And we know the count on them. Just be quiet or leave. Officer, can you take him out? He can't control himself. Out.
You don't give any time for rebut.
You know, that's the first time in 20 years I've forced somebody out that door. That's too bad. We got a letter from the federal government. Just totally stopped what we were doing. I know a lot of us didn't think it was a good idea at the time, but we did want to get some control of it. Sir, get that light out of my eyes, please. Didn't want to lose control of it. The truth of the matter is, if we were to notify you and say, okay, you can stay in Garden Grove, we're going to tax you and you're going to give you a license and all that, then the federal government would be down our throat. What you need to do is get a hold of your congressman and get a hold of the federal legislatures and tell them to straighten this mess out in this country. And it is a mess. Marijuana should, if it's going to be sold, if it actually is a medicinal thing, then it needs to be regulated by the drug authorities in the federal government and sold at every drugstore when you get a prescription. All we're saying is, you want to smoke marijuana, you want to do this, do it somewhere else than Garden Grove. We're not going to be there. We're not going to do it. We're not, and we haven't changed the law. We didn't put anything on the agenda tonight. There's nothing on our agenda this evening to change anything. The law is the same. It's just that we notified you that we're not going to put up with it any longer. And I would imagine that we're going to throw out some good people as well as some bad ones. But I can tell you, the majority of them are bad. You ought to hear the reports we get from them all the time. Have no marijuana smoked on the grounds of where they're selling it. I mean, basically, we've seen it all, and it's been, what, about 9 months since this all went on, or maybe even longer than that. But we are going to be marijuana dispensary clean, unless this group decides to change it someday. This is not debate, sir. Put your arm down. This is not going to be debate. You've had your time to speak. This council has got a chance to speak now. We've listened to everybody. We have sat here and listened to everybody, and this council has got a chance to speak. I'm through for this. Anybody else want to say something?
Well, I'll just make a quick comment. I think we've heard tonight, obviously, that the question of cannabis and medical marijuana, or medical marijuana in general, it obviously helps some, medically speaking, and it hurts a lot of others. I mean, I got on this council 2 years ago, and I literally went throughout the whole city and saw the 30 dispensaries at that time that were listed. And obviously, they were out there. Since that time, it's doubled. There's no question about it. I've gone to people, they've come to me, they've asked me, what can we do to control the spread of marijuana clinics throughout the city? We've heard talk about the high concentration, and 60 is, in my view, an exorbitant amount. What we have now, what I've been waiting for is a final decision from the courts. It's been going around, it's been hopscotch with legislation in different cities, different municipalities. It's gone through different variations of court decisions. We have a Supreme Court decision made. I think, and the Supreme Court decision supports what the city is doing. We've had a ban since 2008. The attorney who spoke eloquently said he would like a stay or some prohibition or some time to give these clinics a chance to move on or do what they need to do. But they've had since 2008 to do that. I mean, they've lived on borrowed time. Well, what's on the books for the city, and now it's entirely enforceable, and that's what we're doing as a city.
Okay.
Having said that, though, the Compassionate Act passed in 1996 was one geared towards helping those who need or could use this in a medical treatment. And there are people who definitely need it. We've heard this tonight. The veteran, I believe, in all his sincerity. But I also believe there's a majority of cases, the ones that I saw, it's developed into the law of unintended consequences. And those are young people getting hold of these drugs. Even by their own admission, people came speaking in favor of it, were against young people having these drugs or having access to them. I think Dan Gleason said it best, the Drug-Free Coalition person, on the accessibility of this. And you wouldn't want to allow any young people to have alcohol. You wouldn't want them to have marijuana. You wouldn't want them to have any access to any of these substances that alter their lives and can affect their lives long term. And I believe that. But I do see the common ground here. We talked about, well, let's look at regulations. Let's look at control. I mean, they dangle the possibility of revenue to the city. I don't think that should ever be an incentive for a city to pursue this clinics such as this for any revenue enhancement to the city. I think we need to control it. We need to regulate it. And now we have the means for a Supreme Court decision. But I do want to point out a couple of things. There's talk of regulation. Down the road, we may be a society that says, yes, let's regulate it, let's stipulate it, let's control it, let's have a medical use, let's make it a pharmaceutical, let's control it in that way for people who legitimately need it for health reasons. With that, even through the own admission of people who are advocates of marijuana, I've read some comments and information about it, and even for the Americans for Safe Access, they say about the court ruling that they need statewide regulations on dispensaries as a safe and legal means for patients to obtain medical marijuana. The pursuit should be for the state to step up, step in, do their job, give us regulations, give us guidelines, make it uniform, make it standard, let all municipalities follow the same rules in the governing for the safe dispensement of medical cannabis. That's the answer. So,
I cut you off. We've been told by our lawyer
Okay.
we're talking too much about this.
In any event, my only comment is, I've heard you loud and clear, and there's more that will come with this. We're not taking any action on this tonight, but I've expressed my feelings, and And down the road, I think the state needs to step in and provide more guidance and regulation on this matter. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to commission and committee matters, 8A.
Mr. Mayor, 8A is the consideration.
No, we did that.
We did
Yeah.
8A.
Oh, I mean, 8B, I'm sorry, 8B,
yeah.
yeah. The consideration of the Main Street assessment budget and initiating proceedings. And Anna Neal will be joining us shortly to give a staff report on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Fertal, Mr. Mayor, and members of the City Council. Before you, you have the first step of the annual assessment proceedings for the Main Street Assessment District Number 1. On March 14th, the Main Street Commission approved the fiscal year 13-14 budget for ongoing services such as landscaping and minor improvements. The proposed budget reflects no increases in assessments and remains at $19.92 per linear foot. In accordance with the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972, the City Council must approve the proposed budget, direct staff to initiate assessment proceedings, and approve an engineer's report. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council approve the Main Street Assessment District budget for fiscal year 13-14, approve the engineer's report, adopt the attached resolution declaring an intention to levy and collect an assessment for fiscal year 13-14, and set a public hearing for June 11th, 2013. That concludes my report, and staff is available to answer any questions.
Can we do this with all one motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any questions for staff?
No.
Hearing none, call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Nine A.
9A, Mr. Mayor, is an approval of agreement with iWater for operational water valves in various locations in the city. And Bill Murray is here to give us a staff report on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Fertel. Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, the council is asked to award a contract to iWater Corporation to operate over 10,000 water valves in the city. Industry standards call for the valves to be exercised every other year. The main purpose of this work is to ensure that during an emergency, city crews will be able to isolate water breaks in a timely fashion, thus reducing overtime and water damage. The cost of this work is almost $600,000. After an advertising period of 30 days, staff received only one bid, which was opened on March 20th of this year, and after a review, staff determined iWater was the responsible bidder. Staff further reviewed the bid and negotiated a contract with iWater and determined that the scope and price was reasonable, and staff recommends the award of the contract to council tonight. Should council decide to award the contractor can begin work in June and will be done within 18 months so as to minimize the impact of traffic. The project was included in this year's capital improvement plan and will be paid for with water funds. This concludes staff's report.
Any questions for staff?
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
Please go ahead.
As far as the iWater, was that our prior contractor for this issue? Or if it's not, then why was there a change, or why didn't the last group submit a proposal? Do you know?
We usually have done that in-house. So this is a new process for us going out to exercise the valve.
How does this cost compare to what it cost us when we were doing it in-house?
It's comparable. At this particular point in time, we've got a lot of efforts going in with our staff in capital improvements, and we don't believe that it makes sense to increase our staff when our capital improvements it's kind of a peak situation right now. Once we get some more work done and accomplished, the capital improvement workload will drop, and will allow staff to then resume doing this type of work.
Any further questions?
Just one more, Mr. Mayor. Is there any reason why we didn't have more competition? Was it because of our advertising, or is it lack of people who does this type of work?
We actually advertised this twice to try and get more folks in, and we did get 8 folks to go ahead and take the package and purchase it that way, but we just were not able to get anybody else to come in. I'm not quite certain as to why that occurred.
Move approval.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
9B.
Mr. Mayor, 9B is approval of amendment to an agreement with Clean Street for street sweeping and catch basin cleaning, and Bill Murray is here to give a staff report on this item.
Thank you again, Mr. Fattel, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council. Tonight, council is being asked to extend our existing contract with Clean Street to provide street sweeping and storm drain catch basin cleaning services. These services are required per the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit. The goal of the permit is to reduce pollution going into the nation's waterways and oceans. The existing contract was negotiated in November of 2007, and staff will be recommending a new contractor by November of this year. In the interim, this work is included in this year's budget for Public Works and will cost almost $800,000. This concludes staff's report.
Any further questions for staff? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
Move approval.
I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
9C.
Mr. Mayor, 9C is an ordinance to consider amending the probationary period for firefighter and police officer positions, and Mr. Clark is here to give a staff report on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Fertal. Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, if you will recall, we completed the revision of the municipal code last year. We cleaned up a lot of definitions and did clarification in terms of probationary periods for employees. One of the things that we did not do at that time was clarify that probationary periods need to be specified as 1 year for firefighters and 18 months for police officers. That's not necessarily the same as you move up the chain to police sergeant, police lieutenant, and so forth. But we needed to lay out very specifically that it was the case for beginning firefighters need a 1-year probationary period, and beginning police officers need an 18-month probationary period. So accordingly, what we have before you today is an ordinance for first reading to amend the language of the municipal code to make it crystal clear exactly what these periods will be to avoid any confusion in the future. That concludes the report. However, allow me to read the title of the ordinance into the record before I'm happy to respond to any questions from council. What is before you is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove amending Title II, Chapter 44 of the Garden Grove Municipal Code pertaining to the probationary period for firefighters and police officers.
Any questions for staff? Entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
9D.
Mr. Mayor, 9D is the beginning of the proceedings for levying the 2013-14 assessments for the Garden Grove Street Lighting District, Street Lighting District 99-1, and Park Maintenance District. And Anna Neal is here to give a staff report on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Fertal. Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, tonight the City Council is asked to adopt resolutions initiating the proceedings for the levying of assessments, adopt a resolution approving the engineer's report, and adopt the resolutions of intention setting a public hearing date for June 11, 2013 for the levying of assessments for fiscal year 13-14 for the city's street lighting and park maintenance districts. In order to continue the lighting of streets and the maintenance of parks at the current service levels, it is necessary to initiate the proceedings of levying annual assessments under the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972. The purpose of the assessments is to pay for the operations and maintenance of the streetlight and park districts. An engineer's report has been prepared and is on file for the 3 districts detailing the costs and assessments. The proposed rates for each district are the same rates adopted by the City Council during the last fiscal year. The adoption of the street lighting and park maintenance assessments will raise approximately $1.3 million in revenue and $700,000 in park maintenance revenues. This concludes my report.
Any questions for staff? Is this all in one motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Entertain that motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, we have no ordinances for second reading. Matters from the mayor, city council members, Mr. Chris Beard.
Summertime's coming up. I want to encourage everybody to look at the website for the city recreational programs that are coming up. And obviously, the Strawberry Festival is coming up, and a lot to come, a lot of notices. So look forward to going to that this year. And that's it. Oh, one other thing. I wanted to point out, with the medical marijuana issue, I have found, walking through my park, this medical marijuana container. And so it has no name, no nothing. So my only last comment on this is like, this is what I don't want to see in the city. And I wanted to, unfortunately, the crowd is gone. But I think this is becoming too prevalent in our city. So hopefully, any actions we take in the future will eliminate these kind of things happening in our parks. But end of comment. Thank you.
I want to say happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers in Garden Grove. And I hope that everyone spent their Mother's Day in Garden Grove and by in Garden Grove. Don't forget that. I have also just a little something about the Black April. I saw a lot of writing on that, and just want to remind everyone that we have a lot of people who died and sacrificed for freedom. And freedom is not free, like Peter Katz would say. Always remember that. And we do have a war museum in Garden Grove for the Vietnam War. And I hope everyone's supportive of that and come to all the events that Peter has announced at our meetings. We have great speakers for the Vietnam War Museum. And hopefully in the future we can come up with a lot of events to raise funds for that. That's all I have.
Chris?
Thanks, sir. I had the honor of attending the Community Emergency Response Team graduation this weekend, so I want to thank all the volunteers who's out there taking their time to learn about first aid and how to respond when we have an emergency. So if you do have the time to volunteer, please look at the option to do so. Also, along with this past April 30th, I went to a community event, and we got this plaque that was given to us to the council by the organization for that. So I make sure I give it to our staff to display in our city. And then to tie in lastly with that event, what one of our speakers was saying, Mr. Katz, as a veteran, it means a lot to me that we take the time to honor the ones who served and defend our freedom in the front line. We won't meet again until after Memorial Day, but I would like everyone to take that day to reflect upon the sacrifices that we all have given for this country. And on behalf of myself and my family, thank the veterans for giving me the chance to be here and doing what I'm doing right now. Thank you.
Okay. Tonight's been an exciting night. I had no idea it was going to be like it was, but I'm glad that it is over. I think we will go forward with what we're doing in the way of medical marijuana. Anyway, Strawberry Festival is coming up. I hope everybody attends. The parade's usually really good, and there'll be a lot of events, a lot of things to rides and stuff. So I hope everybody likes it. And with this, we will close until our next regular meeting on May 28th at 5:30 p.m.